and I am the admin for Common Connect, and I also deal with the social media. And who are you?
I am Matt. I work as a family transition officer, so we work across all 6 counties in North Wales, and I support young people and families transition from one area in their life to another, to put it sort of vaguely. But what that means is if, for example, families would like to have some support when they move from benefits, I think that's a really common one. So DLA to PIP, when young people get to around 15, 16, that will be their transition that I could support them with, and that's a pretty common one. For example, college into employment is also another common one. We're free of charge, so anyone can access our service as long as they've got support needs. So disabilities and autism learning disabilities and autism is a very common one. And yeah, that's my job in sort of a nutshell.
That's fab. What age do you support, Matt?
Oh yeah, I work. So at the moment it's sort of 14, 15 because that's a transition. Very common. Schools will start transitioning around that age, and depending on that young person and family, around 20, 22, and it can be 23. Again, that would depend probably on coming out of college, for example. Some young people might come at 20. I've got a 22-year-old, for example, at the moment. So there's a balance there. But yeah, that's the main. It's around 14, 15, 20, 22, around that age. But it does depend on case to case. So if families want to get in touch, then we can have that discussion about how we can best support them. So yeah.
You work a little bit different to some of the service, and you cover a bit of a different area. Do you want to tell everyone about which areas you cover?
Yeah, sure. So is that specifically sort of the regions such as like employment, education? Yeah. So
well, we're in Wales.
Yes. So yes, this is a North Wales based service. So yes, anywhere from Anglesey all the way to Wrexham. So across those 6 counties in North Wales, you can come in and access our service again with the other criteria and the ages. And like I mentioned, it could be across like employment, education, healthcare, social care, anything that you really need and you're struggling with as a family. That's what we're really involved in, and it doesn't have to be just the young person. It could be the parents, the guardians, or the siblings, because I know that a solution really to be relatable to the family means that it's got to look at everyone in that family at the time. So something I was talking to someone about, younger siblings or old siblings who provide a care role. There are options for other services across Conway and Wrexham at the moment, which are really cool. So again, that's an opportunity for the whole family if families need.
Oh, fab. We've got Hayley the cat listening with Phil. Hi, Hayley
the
cat.
Meow.
Yeah. Phil also says, I love Conway Connect. So many friendly staff and people with disabilities. Oh, well, we love you guys as well, Phil. We're very lucky to have so many lovely members. So Matt, you are going on tour.
Yes, I'm going a virtual tour.
Matt on tour. Where are you? What are you doing? What's happening next week?
So next week, it's a very important week, very busy week for our service. We are going to go across most of, nearly actually all of North Wales. We're mostly focusing at schools, but it doesn't mean just schools. It's anyone of school age. It's just a way to sort of identify sort of certain areas of groups. And I am just going to talk to them and consult the community. So I'm going to be going across all counties, so Anglesey, Gwynedd, Conway, Denbighshire, Flintshire and Wrexham. And I'll be talking to all the young people and their families, if possible. Guys, really want to get involved. And it was just meetings, so about an hour and a half. So, for example, on Conway, one of them's tomorrow, but I know it's bank holiday, so there has been a little bit of a change, an addition to the timetable. So there's 2 for Conway, just because I know tomorrow is a little bit different. And during that time, we'll have about an hour and a half just to consult and talk about what do you want from the service. How can we best, as we move on to new funding bids and provide a different service, how can it be something that is relatable to you and you can tell us what you need? And that's how we can best listen to you and let your voices be heard. And hopefully you can take some control over how we move on into the future. So that's the main thing. What we're going to do is just, like I said, it's about an hour and a half. So it's probably about an hour of structured conversations. There'll be some surveys just so we can get some sort of hard evidence. And then it'll be about half an hour of just talking so we can really hear and let the group take on what do they want as a sort of a developing discussion. So that's the main thing I just want to really impact, sort of just get across, is that if you please come along, because I just want to hear what do you need, what's best, and how can we best serve you. So that's the main thing. And hopefully the way that we'll do that is as we move into and gather the analysis stage, we can sort of understand, okay, what's the general need across certain counties, but maybe actually across the whole of North Wales. And we would start build that into the next year about how we can really impact your needs and make sure that you're heard. So that's the main thing, that's sort of next week, and hopefully into the future we can sort of understand each other a little bit more.
That's fab. Just to say, while you're watching, if you have any questions for Matt about his service or what's going on with the transition talks, feel free to pop them in the comments. I have the comments open so I can keep an eye, hopefully. At the minute, I will be able to see them anyway. So Matt, how are these talks going to work? So what kind of questions are you going to ask people?
So I think something that I know there's a lot of information out there, so I've got a general idea over the last year. I have a relatively good idea of certain areas that do need to be improved on. Something that's really been stated and shown is just this access of information. There's a lot of content out there about transition. It can be very complex, it can be quite outdated, and sometimes, you know, busy families and non-accessible information, inaccessible information can be just quite overwhelming. Yeah, you want to know the answer, not sort of quickly and in a way that is confusing, but just in a way that makes sense for you. And that's really important, because I know each families are going to need the information in different ways, and that comes for everyone with additional learning needs as well. So one area I do want to know is just how you want to access that information. Is it printed? Is it on a website? And how can we sort of delve a little bit deeper into the complex areas of the information and how we can and access that? So specific areas might be not just benefits, but what areas of the information, the application forms, do you find the hardest? Is there anything that we can do to put into place to structure that and support you moving into the future? So there's other areas as well where we haven't touched upon that often, and that might be healthcare, because healthcare can be really different for each person. So what do you need from a transitional healthcare? Is it just knowing your rights? And that's something really important, because that spans across a lot of the areas. There's a lot of interconnected nature to the legalities of a lot of transitions, and maybe just a way that families can approach, that is their right to approach, and just a balance of how all of these things move together and sort of are connected in a way that, again, doesn't overwhelm families, because I know there are information services out there, but I think we're best suited to understand that from the community's point of view if we take on these sort of consultations. That's something I'm really excited about.
So I suppose these talks are really important, because it's kind of shaping the service for the families out there, isn't it?
Yeah. And young people, really want to just let you know that I hope they'll be coming into your schools, and that's what I want to just actually highlight is, schools, please feel that if you want to get in touch with me, I can come and run some sessions independently with your families, if that's the guardians or the teachers or the staff, but also just the young people. I want to really hear their voices, and that's really key, because as we move on into the future, I know as a family there should be a big effort to include everyone in that family, but keeping the young people at the center of their plans really needs their voice. And however that comes, I really just want to encourage schools and families to see if they can invite me to the schools, just to get to have that one-on-one time with the kids and the young people to hear their voices. And it's really key, and it's something that really should be part of, and as we develop into the future, how we can make that easier and quicker into the future. So this is something I want to do more often, if it's sort of once or twice a year, or if it's every so often, just so we can ensure that actually if we're going down the wrong way or we're actually going in the right way, how families can best improve that and take control, like I said, and just feel empowered by the way this service is going. And that's again really, really key.
So with schools, are they able to contact you and ask you to go in then?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've already got 2 schools that said that they want me to run some sessions with some young people, which is really exciting. And again, I don't know how that will end up, but hopefully the young people will take control. If you want to use my email, so we can add that in, either you can go on our website, an amazing website that Leanne has improved exponentially. It's amazing. And that's the same with all our activities. So if you go on our website, if you go on our website, it's a really good hub at the moment, and it's updated quite often. If you go through that, you can either contact us from a single point, or my email should be on there. Alternatively, it's commonly thank you, Leanne, she's put it in the chat now. If you just drop me a line, I can just get in touch with the schools, and we can just sort of liaise on a time that best suits you and your young people. I'm free sort of until the next few months, so if it's something that you can't do next week, I'm quite busy as well, but maybe the week after, or the week after that, sometime in May would be really, really helpful. Hey Alex.
I have just updated the email, so it's pinned. I think I've seen oh, let's have a look. Brilliant, the young person's views are often overlooked. Do you find this, Matt?
Sorry, say again?
This is a comment from Louise. Louise says, brilliant, the young person's views are often overlooked.
I think I do agree with that, because it can be, and it's not, in no way is it sort of attacking families and guardians, but we all know it can be so quick and so busy in a life, especially family life, to see a young family life. And if you've just entered and you've just got a diagnosis, or you're just starting to see that transition of going into secondary schools, quite a common one, and primary schools are, they're a loving space, and it's not to say secondary schools aren't, but young people can feel a little bit different in a wider space, such as a secondary school. And in that moment of, okay, you've got multiple young people, and you've got other things like a job, because you have the right to work, families, if you want a job, you should be allowed to do that. The views of the young person, as much as everyone knows the young person, sometimes just that one-to-one time of just checking, actually, am I right? Is this what the young person still wants? And having just that frank conversation in a controlled manner, it is really important, because you don't know until you know, and that's what I found is consistent. So it's just about having that continuous conversation, so we can just develop in a way that best supports everyone in that moment, because we all change. Young people grow up as much as we don't want to admit it sometimes.
As much as we don't want them to, when we'd keep them as babies, they do grow up, don't they? And it's all about giving them the choice and the ability to make a decision, isn't it? And supporting that. Absolutely. But I found that you're a really good signposting sort of. I don't know why I was going to go with signposting system, but you're wonderful at signposting. And if there's anything that you don't know, you've got quite a good sort of group of connections now, haven't you? So
yeah, I've been really lucky, and certainly comes from some of our members as well. Some of our members are incredible, and that's something I really want to encourage them. Sometimes the best sources of knowledge is lived experience, and that lived experience is second to none. It's just knowing part of the information is one thing, but also how you can interact with the information and professionals in that process. I've learned so much. But beyond that, a lot of the contacts I have are professionals, and if it's third sector, so people like me who work in sort of charity outside the statutory sort of norms, or it's the council services. Some of the council services have been phenomenal. They've really helped me just understand a little bit more about the wider sort of county processes that happen. But some of the third sector have the time just to sort of find those nitty-gritty, unique bits about the families that just help them flourish, and just pick up on the really amazing things. I could list off hundreds at the moment, but I'm sure I won't. And it's been great. So I have contacts across each county. So if you, like I said, across all these 8 areas, if it's healthcare, education, employment, depending on which county, they might be different. Sometimes some organisations go over those boundaries, but don't feel that. I know it says Conway Connect in the name, but our service is regional. So Anglesey, you can please contact me. Wrexham, feel free to contact me. Flintshire, Denbighshire, everyone, please feel that if you have a concern, if it's just me that may not be able to do it, I can certainly find someone that could support you and maybe understand. And that's one of the main things about my job. It's still growing and learning.
Yeah.
So if the trickiest questions and the hardest questions are sometimes
specifically, it's specifically your service that's regional, isn't it? Which is wonderful that we're able to offer things like this, and hopefully, you know, things will sort of expand in other areas. But it's really useful that, you know, if anyone does have contacts anywhere else in North Wales that are a bit stuck, they can send them your way as well, can't they? Which is fab. I'm going to touch a little bit on what you said about the how good the parents are that we have in a way of getting information. I found that in some of the groups that we hold for the children and young people, they're developing like a bit of a support system for themselves. Do you want to mention your youth club?
Yes, I do.
Meet, isn't it?
My youth club is amazing. I've got some amazing young people that come, and so we hold a hybrid approach with the youth club. So 1 week it's online. So we just did an online one on Friday, and we then have a face-to-face one the next week. So which should be next week. However, we've got the disco. So if any of the young people want to get out and boogie, please come along. So it's based in Llandudno Junction. But I believe that actually I'm not sure there's some eligibility criteria, but if there's space, I'm sure we can have that conversation. I think it might be for Conway and Denbighshire at the moment. We can check that with the eligibility.
We can check that. It's on the flyer, I think.
Yeah. Maybe. So every so often
we can check with Libby.
Yeah, every so often we have discos, which is really fun. It's got an amazing opportunity for young people to come along and just get back to norms after the last couple of years of just being so different. But my youth club is regional, so although it is based in Colwyn Heights and in Colwyn Bay, please, anyone, if you want to come along, please do. It's at the moment it's free because we did secure external funding. That might change, so it might be £5 per person, but that's only just for renting costs. It's not for my holiday, I promise. So it's an opportunity for young people just to come in, have a bit of have socialise. So there's some board games, which is great, just to have that one-to-one time. There's some ping pong, badminton, and then there's some tables set up where the people can just chill out, chat, or bring their own stuff. The really awesome thing about the youth club that I personally like is it's sort of split. So you have the adults are asked to stay, so guardians are asked to stay, but they are kind of in a separate space. So the young people, they have their space, with me and a few other staff, and just to chill out and talk. I run some sort of group sessions sometimes, but then also adults, you can stay there, have a cuppa, just chill out and just talk to people about, what you're going through, or don't say anything. You can sit there and read. It's up to you. Yeah, it's a space for the adults as well, which is really, really great. That's the main thing, and hopefully we'll see that expand in the future. Yeah, and there's also some other stuff that young people can get involved with in Conway Connect, our activities. So there's the art. The art is for young people. Doesn't have to mean just sort of below 18. Actually, it could be I would consider most young people also 18 to 25. So you are eligible if you are in that age gap to come to our adult service, some of our adult services, which are really, really great. The art club people love. And there's an adult one, and there's also a young person one on Saturdays. The young person one, I believe, is.
Yep. 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
And some of our young people actually help run that club. So, like we said, Conway Connect is always looking for opportunities to involve our members and be a part of the growth of that, and that's really important. And they love it. The young people are fantastic, and everyone it's a really nice space.
Shall we go back to the transition talks again, Matt, and kind of go over what we're doing? Because I think we've had a few new people join us.
Sure.
So do you want to mention the transition talks again and just sort of go over what it's about?
Yeah,
and then
no
maybe
problem.
we can go through the dates.
Yes, we can. Yes, of course. So the next week is a big week. We've previously been on it, so sorry if you're hearing this again, but it's just a recap. So next week is a very busy week, and the week afterwards sort of the same. So I'll be on tour, as as Leanne likes to coin it, and I'll be working and I'll be hosting meetings across different counties just to understand how we as a service can best develop to your needs. And it's a really, really great opportunity to get involved, take control of our service with us, and just let your voices be heard. The way that will be sort of structured, it will be sort of a quick, about an hour, hour and a half meeting. Sort of the first hour will be a bit structured, just doing some surveys, some sort of group talks about your experience, and that's where we can really understand the different processes. So different areas of the way that in some areas you might transition. So if it's more understanding about your lived experience through benefits, or when you first found out that you've got someone in your family with additional support needs, just understanding those key things. And then as we move into the end, we'll just have a sort of a larger group discussion about, okay, so these are some of the key areas and some key things that brought up, maybe some just sort of confirmation about certain things. The reason we want to do this is just because I know I spend a lot of time sort of supporting you as members, but you might have very different ideas of where you want the service to go. And I have some ideas, and I'll bring them, and I really want to encourage anyone, if you already know sort of what you might want from the service, bring them along. It's about conversation, and it's really everyone's there just to have a voice. It's going to be as spread out as possible, so everyone has the time just to share their ideas, and that will be happening all the way from Anglesey to Wrexham. So there'll be usually about I think it's so sometimes with the specialist schools, because I know there's such a vast amount of young people there, but also mainstream schools. I need to hear your voice. Hearing your voice is really, really important, because we know that in mainstream schools it is different, and it's just a little bit, it's just something that we just need to work on to know that you're supported. And I just want to really encourage anyone, if you are in contact with schools, or you know the head or anyone like that, please just mention it, that there is opportunities to bring me for me to come in and meet the families or the young people, because hearing the young people's voices is important. There's a few schools that have already signed up, so over the next 2-3 weeks, I'm going to be going into schools and just running some sessions with young people to know what they want from the service into the future. So yeah, should we talk about dates?
Yeah. Can you have you got the skill of reeling them off, or shall I go through what I've got? Do you want me to read them?
I can go for it. Yeah, if you could, but I think I've got them here. Okay, so I have on the 2nd, which is Monday, which is tomorrow. So I apologise, because I realised that was a bank holiday. So as always, best laid plans. So Conway in Denbighshire. So Conway, you'll be at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and then at Denbighshire you'll be on at 1. So there's Zoom links on our Facebook. If you individually, if you want to drop me a line, then I can send them on to you. But if you go on our Facebook, they are pinned, and you should, I think, or they are there. And they're certainly on my Facebook. So if you jump on, yeah, if you jump. Cheers. So they'll be there. But I know obviously it's a bank holiday, so I wanted to just ensure that everyone gets a voice, because it's a bit unfair. So Conway, you'll have the 2nd of May, which is tomorrow at 10. But you also have on the 5th another talk, which is when young people will be at schools. So if you can come tomorrow, great, because you might have the day off. But also if you can't, because you're looking after young people, please come on the 5th. Same for Denbighshire. So on the 2nd tomorrow you'll be on at 1. But if you can't come to that, that's completely understandable. And there's a second meeting on the 11th at 1 as well. So that's Wednesday the 11th. So that's not next week, but the week after. Because again, I do understand sort of bank holidays are just a bit different, and that's apologies for that.
Yeah.
So Tuesday the 3rd, we've got at 10 o'clock, we've got Flintshire. So I've got everyone coming from Flintshire. I've got the specialist school. I've got all the mainstream schools. It's going to be a big old group, and I'm very, very excited for that. And that is because, again, an opportunity to let everyone's voices be heard. Same day, so Tuesday the 3rd, we have Wrexham at 1 o'clock. On the 4th, we have Anglesey at 10. And again, on the 4th, we've got Gwynedd at 1. And then on the 5th, as I've mentioned, we've got Conway's second meeting at 10 a.m. And then on the 5th, Thursday, We have another the Tia Morpher. You're in Denbighshire. Your meeting is on the 30th at 1. Sorry, so that's Thursday the 5th at 1. But again, Tia Morpher, if you feel that you actually want to come to the two Denbighshire ones with the mainstream schools, it was just a way of breaking it up. Please be free. You know, you're more than welcome. No one's going to be sort of exempt from coming. Friday the 6th. We've got Wrexham Specialist School, but again, Wrexham Specialist School, if you feel that if you want to come to the mainstream one, come along. That's absolutely fine. It was just because I just need to split up the large quantities of people, really. And that was that. So then the following week, so on May the 9th, hopefully we've got Anglesey Specialist School. It's just being confirmed. And the same for Gwynedd. I just need to confirm, but that should be, again, you're on the 9th. Again, if you feel that you want to come to the mainstream meetings, it was just a way to split up the group sizes so everyone gets their voices heard. Feel free, that's absolutely fine. And that's it. I've got a few with professionals. So professionals, if you're in transition and you're across any of these 6 counties, please just get in touch. I've emailed some people, but actually, if we can all work together, that would be very helpful. So it's so that we can provide that North Wales approach. For me as a regional service, is about filling those gaps and understanding how we can make what is being coined as a seamless service, where young people and families don't have to keep switching professionals and switching services and numbers and emails. If we could just make it as fluid as possible, that's something for me is really important. So that also out to the professionals there. And yeah, that's it really. So I could go over them again, maybe in a bit, or maybe you can, Leanne can, because my voice is kind of.
Well, I have pinned it to the top of our page now, so it's on the Facebook page. Matt, we did have a query, didn't we, the other day about whether people who home educate are allowed to attend?
Yes, that was really good. So thank you for that query. Yeah, it's the reason they're called school transition services was only just so I could identify sort of different groups. It was really not, if you're in home education, if you're not in education, you know, please come along. It is not just aimed at schools. It's just sort of young people at school age, that kind of 14 to 22. If you're in college, please come along. That's really important. I'm trying to sort of set up some days with the college, which is going to be helpful. So I just want everyone to know that this is not exclusive. It's inclusive. So it doesn't matter what age you are between those sort of 14, and even if you're below that, if you're younger families and actually you are concerned about the future, that's something, just a voice, you know, please come along for that. So, you know, primary schools, if you feel that you have a really important point to make, come along. You don't have to be in secondary school. It's for anyone of school age, and that's really key. Okay, guys? So home ed, come along, please do.
We've had a question from Tammy. Hi, Tammy. She is wondering whether you help people find jobs.
Yep. That is something that we can do. So how our service would sort of support young people and families to find jobs is, it might be that I specifically can't, so for example, do the searches with you, but it might be just a strategy that we form together. If it's a young person that needs support, it's about talking to that support network around them and creating that kind of plan and how they're going to do it. Okay, so if it's sort of your local opportunities, if it's what do you want to do, how do I want to do it? How many hours do I have in the week? What is it that I really want to achieve from that? Is it, you know, more money, which is absolutely fine, but is it more skills? Do I want to learn more about a certain area? Just so if it's a part-time job, and do I want to go into this area? And that's something I found, sort of dipping your toe in. It might be volunteer work. Do I want to work with people, or do I want to work with animals? So we would weigh up all of that and form a strategy around that. Unfortunately, at the moment, because I am a signposting service, most of the time, I can't put in too much time between sort of face-to-face and those nitty-gritty bits. However, what we can do is teach each other about how we can do that, and certainly there to empower and support families to find what suits them and how they can do it. I love helping people, and it's something that I'm really hoping into the future that we can slightly change that service and just go, actually, I can put maybe 25 minutes, 30 minutes in to show you how maybe best to find those results, and that could be employment. So, is it certain websites that work for you? How do you type into Google about job searches? Could you look on Facebook and etc. like that, but also just how we can stay safe, because one of the key things about being online at the moment is just being safe about where we're putting in this knowledge, because there is a lot of information, websites that aren't too good about saving your information, and it's just how we can just sort of safeguard ourselves, make sure that we're staying as safe as possible online. And that's really key. Something I'm doing in the youth club at the moment.
That's fab. So I hope that answers your question, Tammy. I forgot my question now. What was I going to say? So obviously the transition talks will be a way of sort of identifying what needs are out there, like jobs, like getting help with jobs and things like that, isn't it? That's why they're so important, these talks.
Yeah. And if I don't have the solution for example, employment, I have a network of contacts across North Wales who are specialist organisations who work in employment, who support people with sort of barriers to employment, and that really also just comes from finding the right service for you. So I might not be able to be the perfect person for you, but I certainly have one organisation in my head who works across all of North Wales, and they're absolutely amazing. And they just provide that really one-to-one tailored support for families and young people if you need it. So yeah, just again, get in touch. The sooner we have these conversations, the more we build the information, and hopefully people who come after you will be able to sort of streamline that approach, which is really, really great. So you can be a part of this.
Right, that's perfect. I think we'll start wrapping it up then if we haven't got any more questions. So just to repeat what we've gone over, you've got your transition talk starting next week. The post is now pinned at the top of our page, so you can find out all the dates. And if you have any questions at all, or if you think that Matt can help you and your family with anything, you can also email him, and the email address is also on that post. Have you got anything else you want to add, Matt, before we leave?
Yes, I think I do. So I believe we've got another one of these. Leanne, do we have another one next week?
If the interest is out there, we're willing to do it again next Wednesday evening. Did we say 7:30? Was it, Matt? Let me have a look.
We did say 7:30, I think. If that works for everyone, obviously. But yeah, maybe a time when sort of families have time in the evening.
Yeah. So if families have, if anyone wants us to do another one of these and come and ask us questions, you can leave your questions under this live in the comments, or you can send us a message, and we can always redo a live and answer your questions then. But thank you very much for your time, Matt, for coming and having a bit of a chat and explaining about the service.
Thank you, Leanne. Thanks everyone for coming as well. Have a really, really great bank holiday weekend. It's been absolutely fantastic to be on, and hopefully see you all soon.